I'm very impressed. Here this morning on time. I like it. Alrighty, so you guys are on page 19 in your training manual. So we talked about last time, so this is part 2 of day 1 of training. So we talked about, just opening comments. Opening comments, a lot of it is just they need to feel comfortable. They need to feel comfortable with you. They need to feel comfortable with the process. So this is where a little bit of you needs to shine, through that process. Building up, where they're working, it's just all about making them feel really comfortable, like how anyone can succeed here. All you have to do is read the manual. If you read it at 100%, you have a 100% shot at the stats that we talk about. If you read it at 50%, you only have 50% shot, so just kind of setting up the day and expectations. Then we walked into the demo, right? And so the demo needs to be like, oh my gosh, like I can read, I can do this, that's the confidence they should gain. There's really no teaching. And so what I found is a lot of new managers will start teaching. So they'll be like, oh, so when you're doing this, you want to say sets and you want to, and stuff that you guys learned in maybe SLDM or at a conference, and you're like you're wanting to teach them that when you're teaching them how to do the demo. Absolutely not. Cool? Absolutely not. Like, you don't want to teach anything. You're just like instilling confidence. So Braden reads to me a part of the manual, and then I'll be like, yeah, so when you're seeing the customer, and I'm just telling stories, and the guarantee, I'm like, I had a customer who had it from blank. It's all about instilling confidence in them. The people buy this stuff, right? The people own this stuff. The people love this stuff. Like, that's all it is that you're doing. Like, every time you're saying something, it's not teaching, it's instilling confidence. It's stories of how people weren't going to buy it and they saw it and they bought. It's how long they've had it. It's how great of an investment they thought it was. And by the way, a lot of those are already built into your manual, like into your actual training manual for managers, your leader's guide, we'll call it, to make sure we're good. So you guys are just instilling confidence in that. The next big thing is when you go to names and uses, I told you guys you do the cutting clinic, right? So you watch my video on training, you'll see me go through that. But when you guys go into that part, again, they need to feel like, oh, I know what that's used for. All right. And so what I'll do, like, as I'm going through there, thank you so much.
I didn't bring my manual.
Huh?
I didn't bring my manual.
All right. As you're going through there, so I emailed you guys the last prep on Tuesday. As you're going through that section, I'm like, hey, so first tool in your set, and by the way, I'm doing it as if they're my customer. So I'm not teaching them to say the next tool in your set, but I know as a top sales rep, when I talk about sets a lot, when I use all that with my customer, that's what they're thinking about. Well, training is a big demo, okay? So everything you do is what you want them thinking about, what you want them focused on. I think that's really important, okay? So when you dive in that section, when you're teaching them how to use the tools, I'll be like, hey, just drop your manuals. Like, they can role play it afterwards with their manuals. I'm like, I just want you guys to learn how to use these, and I want you guys to get really comfortable with the tools, cool? So first tool is called our air knife, all right? Where do you guys think we use this? They're like, in the air. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's why it's called the air knife. You never use it on the board. I'm like, so if you have, like, my grandma has plantains, she'll take the top off and peel the sides off. I'll cut bananas for cereal. I'll use this when I'm pitting, avocados, and then take the pit out. I'll use this when I'm topping off strawberries. My mom eats apples like she's Huck Finn. I go through, like, if I'm doing peaches or nectarines, all those I'll use that, but never on the board. And then, guys, write this down. I teach them 2 things my manager taught me on how to use the tools. Because did anyone ever feel like, how am I going to learn how to use all these knives? There's just a bunch of knives. They just cut, right? Yes. Did anyone feel like that? I know I definitely did. So in order for the rep to not feel that way, like, Dan, there's a lot of knives, but to really understand, I tell them, I'm like, so there's 2 rules I learned when showing the knives. I'm like, my manager taught me this. 2 rules. And I tell them, I go, because I remember being like, I mean, it's a knife, it cuts, but if Miss Jones like, what's this one for? It's to cut. What's this one for? It's to cut, there's a right tool for the right job. What are shoes for, right? To protect your feet, but I'm not going to go running with high heels. Okay. So making sure you're smart with it. JD, there's still one up here. So making sure you're smart with it. using the right tool for the right job, you know? So I'm like, so you never use, so here's the 2 rules. Number 1 rule we're going to talk about right now, all right? Never use if you have a straight edge, it's never meant to go back and forth on a board. Cool? So any knife you're ever going to go back and forth motion on a board is protected with the double D edge. All right? So that's the first rule, is if it's a straight edge, it's not meant to go back and forth. All right? That's the first rule. So should this knife ever, I'm like, no. And I show them like this, and I'm like, look at the chef knife. Should this be used back and forth? No. So if I see you doing that when we're cutting, I'm going to stab you with it, all right? And I'm like, no, I'm just kidding, but I always say that. Then I'm like, second rule is you always want to use a knife that's a couple inches bigger than what you're cutting. That's the second rule. I'm like, it's the safest way to go. If I have this little trimmer here, all right, because I'm like, the next tool in your set is your small utility. I'm like, so this guy right here, if I'm trying to cut like a big watermelon with it, all right, that can get pretty dangerous, and you can come out the other side and poke yourself with it, you know? So it's much easier to use a larger knife and just go and cut it, safe, everything's good, all right? So, and I'm like, and same thing, and I'll grab the chef knife, and I'm like, if I tried to peel an apple with this, right, and there's just like long blade, I'm like, that's not super safe either. I'm like, so you want to be, you know, in general, 2 or 3 inches longer the knife than what you're cutting. Cool? So again, what's this one used for? Air knife. I'm like, yeah, peeling, paring, tapping up. So this guy right here has the little double D edge. So what's it meant to do? Go back and forth. So I'm like, fist size stuff. Cool. So that's what I tell them with the trimmer. I'm like, fist size stuff. I'm like, tomatoes. Who's here ever cut a tomato with a dull knife? I'm like, you know, you have to poke it, go around it. Like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I think it's freaking horrible. I'm like, this right here glides right through. I'm like, check this out, you know, and I'm like, and this is, I'm like, who here's ever like cut up a lime or you know, lemon, you know, I don't know, Corona or any other beer? Like, all right. So this is awesome. All your limes, lemons, oranges, grapefruits, trimming the fat off of meats, deboning, deskinning, a lot of small stuff. One of the most used knives in the kitchen. Everyone good? All right. Next tool in your set's your sandwich maker. It's for desserts, sandwiches, also anything in like dishes, casseroles. So how do we use this? I'm like, this right here. I always grab an apple, guys. Everybody's like, what? Kind of like when you do the pineapple, but I always take an apple with the spatula, and I'm like, these are spatula spatter. Check this out. And I just like cut straight down, you know, with a downward motion. I just go like that with a spatula, and they're like, what? You know, and obviously I hold the apple, and I'm like, that's our spatula spreader. And they're all like, yeah. I'm like, so this is not the spatula Miss Jones wants to like lick the icing off of, okay? This is, you're making a peanut butter and jelly, which you guys can make one. And I always have peanut butter and jelly, you know, there for them. And I'm like, you can spread with it really easy. You can cut with it. You have one tool to clean. I use it for brownies. I use it for lasagna. I use it for cakes. My sister will like ice the cake, cut it, serve it, right? I'll cut the brownie, go underneath. It's really flexible. Pies, quiche, all right? A lot of times when you're trying to get that first one, it's kind of a mess. But because it's really flexible, we can go right underneath it. And then boom, you know? And they're just like, all right, I'm like, so yeah, if you're making cream cheese on a bagel, right? You're doing that. You're doing any kind of a sandwich, and you're spreading, whether it's a homemade spread or mayonnaise or ketchup, whatever you put on it. It's real simple. All right. So rewind. What's the first one? All right. Yeah. Air knife. How do we use it? Peeling. All right. What's the next one? It's your small utility. Cool. It's just easy. What do you want to use with it? And they're like, I'm like, yeah, fist size stuff, limes, lemons, oranges, grapefruits, anything small. Everyone good? What's this one for? Yeah. Sandwiches, desserts, things and dishes. I was like, all right. Gets us to our petite carver. I'm like, guys, this is your everyday, it's your larger utility, everyday carving and prep knife. I'm like, check this thing out. And that's where I go to do the pineapple, all right? And so I was actually in my customer's house, the Cokers, and I remember Mr. Coker was like, well, let's see, do you have like a bigger knife to like whack it, basically like a butcher? And I was like, you don't even need that. I'm like, look at our petite carver. And he's like, yeah, but it's going to be hard to get through it. I'm like, wait for this. And he puts it on his side, and he's just like, and he's like, what the heck? I'm like, yeah. And I was like, and then he just went down and just did this, and they're all watching, you know, and I'm just like going right by the sides, and I'm like, and then he's like, the true test, the core, and he puts it at the core, and he goes, and I'm like doing this live, and they're all like, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, and then he was just like, holy crap. And that's why it's like, anywhere by those. I'm like, yeah. And they ended up getting a homemaker set. But that's really good. So again, stories of people using it, being wowed and buying it, you know, or buying a set, like those are things to talk about. Then I'm like, so you can use this by itself for eggplant, squash, cantaloupe, leftover carving, small roast. If you go to HEB and you get a little chicken, I said you can actually use it together with the turning fork. So you can use this and do small carving with it. I'm like, so you can use these together, but the turning fork also use on its own. I'm like, and it's called the turning fork because that's what it's for. It's for turning things. You guys ever try to grab something and then it's like stuck on there and you're fighting it off, you know, or you're chasing it around the pan? I'm like, it's really sharp so you can grab whatever you need. And I grab something, and then I'm like, you see how it stays on? All right, and then all you have to do is put it on its side and turn it, and it comes right off. And they're just like, oh, wow. So I grab a couple things and I show them how the turning fork works. And I'm like, everyone good? So rewind, what's this used for? All right. And I go back to the beginning. It's exactly what I do. And I'm like, yeah, Aaron, I did that. What's this? All right. Small utility, limes, lemons, oranges. All right. What's this one used for? Sandwiches, desserts. What's this one used for? Pineapples. Yeah. I'm like, and all your medium-sized fruits and veggies. What's this one used for? Yeah, turning and serving. Cool. I'm like, you guys are doing great. I was like, now these two are confused all the time because people don't know how to use knives, and they're like, big knife, whack things with it. I'm like, this is our delicate chopper. This is not our butcher. So now I show these two together, and I go, so guys, tell me, on the chef knife, where's the thicker part of the blade? On the front of the blade or on the back of the blade? You know, and they're like, back. I'm like, yep. I'm like, now on the butcher, where's the thicker part? Is it on the back of the blade or is it on the front of the blade? And they're like, on the front. I'm like, yeah, because this is made to do this. Boom. That's how you use a butcher. The thicker part of the blade is what's getting the impact. Is that how the chef knife is meant to be used? No. You guys ever see chefs on TV? They're like dicing and chopping, whatever. I'm like, that's how you use this. So the front goes on the board, and it's kind of like a paper cutter. Who's ever seen a paper cutter, right? That it's attached to the front. That's basically how you use a chef knife, okay? It doesn't come off the board. You don't slice. You don't whack. It's like a paper cutter. Put the chef in the front, and then you rock the back. The back is what's using the cutting. So I'm showing them on like a piece of celery or something, and then go back. I'm like, and then you can put your hand up top to mince it really small. I always tell them, hey, flip this knife over to put the food together and then keep chopping. When you're putting it in a pan, flip the knife over to take it off. You don't want to scrape the edge because that is going to hurt the edge, okay? And then, guys, lastly, we have a bread knife and a master carving set. So your bread knife is awesome because it's not just for bread. It's great for layering cakes. It's great not just for soft cakes, which, by the way, really soft cakes like an angel food cake, it'll glide right through, all right? And it won't look like the angel sat on top of the cake. But then also, if you have an ice cream cake, which is actually really hard, it goes right through that as well. So it's fantastic on Cold Stone, Carvel cakes, whatever, you know, frozen cakes you have, works really well on that too, all right? And then, guys, your master carving set for your turkeys, ham, roast, anything, you know, for the holidays and stuff. This will be used a lot. But then I always give a story of a vegetarian too, because I don't want them to do their demo. So basically you're handling a lot of the things during this, right? And setting proper expectations in their head. And so I don't want them to go, oh, well, my customer was a vegetarian, so they didn't buy a homemaker because they don't need a carving set, right? So I know that that's something that people could say. So one of my examples, so I say, hey, we have our carving set for da-da-da. But guys, I had a vegetarian customer who actually had her homemaker set for 14 years. And she told me, Kat, when you go see people, let them know this is my melon knife. I'm like, huh? She's like, yeah, because the S shape, which by the way, the S shape is made to like go around the bone easy when you're carving. But she said the S shape is awesome because I'll buy like the big melons at the farmer's market. And then instead of using a little knife and everything, like juice going everywhere, whatever, she's like, I can just go around it. And she's like, and because of the S shape, it's really easy to gut it out, right? Because it's round. She's like, so I just go and then cut it up. She's like, so that's my melon knife. She's like, and, you know, not everyone in my family is vegetarian. So obviously for the holidays, we end up having some kind of a roast for them when they come over. So it still gets some use, maybe, you know, as a carving set, maybe once a year or every other year. She's like, but it is my weekly melon knife. I love that thing. She's like, and the fork, I just use it like on the barbecue and serving stuff and whatever. She's like, so if you ever run into any vegetarians, let them know that's what I use it for. But it's just nice to have it because you will use it, and then I use it all the time for this, you know? So again, you're handling that. So now a rep is not going to say, oh, well, my customer was a vegetarian, because you just told them what your vegetarian used for. Now they know what to say for that. Everyone good? So again, you have to think about, it's a demo. You know, if I know someone's a vegetarian, I'm not going to go off on how, like, oh yeah, when you're carving your meat, you know, they're like, All right. Those are things that in the beginning of the demo, you guys, as you get to be an advanced rep, you find those things out when you're going to names and use, like, hey, what kind of food do you like to cook? Do you cook more meats? Do you cook more vegetables? I'm like, all right, awesome. They're like, oh no, we're vegan. Or I'm like, okay, I'm not going to give any meat. I'm not going to give anything about meat if they're vegetarian or vegan, especially if they're vegan. All right. Because most vegans have something tied to animal cruelty. Some it's just for health. Like I try to eat vegan 70% of my diet, and that's just more for health reasons, But for the average vegan, it's connected to something. So if I'm talking about all this like meat and stuff, they're just like, oh my gosh, So you have to be conscious. So it's more advanced, for you guys. But you don't need to teach that to your reps, all right? They're just going to read their manual, but you're just prefacing like, oh, if they eat more vegetables or certain ethnicities, do a lot more veggie chopping as well. So that's that. So once you guys have gone through that, but do you guys see? And I go, okay, one more time, review from the beginning. They don't have their manuals, they don't have whatever. It's more in their head. But do you guys see how that gives them confidence? And they're like, oh, that's the air one. Oh, okay, that's for all your small fist stuff. Oh, that's your sandwich one. Oh, that's your medium-sized knife. Okay, that's your turning for turning and serving. Okay, that's your chopper. And now they understand because I'm like, hey, it's 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula. Let me show you guys how to use these. All right. And so making sure you guys get really comfortable with that. That's an easy way where now your reps have confidence in the homemaker set. So if you want to sell more sets, they need to know how to use them, right? If a customer is going to buy a set, they need to go, yeah, use that, yeah, use that, yeah, use that. But if a rep has no idea, and hopefully they're reading their manual, so it says everything in there, but if they're just kind of like, what's going on? They need to have confidence in showing them. So if a customer is like, I don't need all those knives. Like, well, yeah, this is your small stuff. This is for this, and making sure they can teach the customer on the right tool for the right job. All right. So once we finish that, I give them 5 minutes to like chop up, and like you can have stations and I'm like, hey, if you haven't used a peeler, check this out. If you want to wax something, this is the aggression station. You can use the butcher knife over here. I want to make sure everyone chops. I want to make sure everyone uses a trimmer. I want to make sure everyone uses a peeler. If they didn't get to the beginning, those are the main things I want to make sure everyone uses to give them a feel for Cutco, and then it's just like fun to whack. Make a sandwich, and then we're gonna roll. If some finish quicker than others, have them start role playing names and uses. Cool. So say, hey, grab your manuals, and you guys go back and forth. Like you say one, you say the pairing, you say the trimmer, you say, just read along and go back and forth. Cool. While people are going to the bathroom, coming back, and then we get them all back together. All right. Now the next thing is we're going to dive into value. Now here, or you have a quick pay review. So if you guys look on page 18, the bottom of page 18 starts a quick pay review. All right. So once you excuse me. Now is value. I am correct. So we finish cutting and then we go through value, right? And so we were reading through some of the value before. I was telling you guys my opening and closing of the manual here is the opposite. Same content, just opposite. But I go through value. Right after value is a quick pay review. And so now we're at the bottom of page 18. All right. So this right here is literally just a quick review, all right? And guys, it's on page 32 in their manuals, or I think it's actually 33 in their manuals, so you can have them open to it to review the pay with that, all right? So it tells you reviews base pay, all right? You guys want to make sure. Go ahead, JD, read that out loud.
Which part?
Just start with review base pay underneath it.
Okay. All right, so qualified appointment, 30 plus, and working full time. There's no group demos. They just don't work. People don't like to buy in groups. If they do buy, it's something small. That's because they like to show off money in front of friends, and you'll lose opportunities for big sales. And it's also hard to ask for recommendations. Yeah,
I'm like, and even if you sell what you can sell, you're not going to maximize your business, which is recommendations. I always tell them, and there's another confidence boost for you guys. You can add this little phrase. I say, I know we're going to sell a lot of Cutco. The most important thing is how many more nice people you have to show it to. I know we're going to sell a lot of Cutco. The most important thing is how many more nice people do you have that we're going to show it to. All right. I know we're going to sell a lot of Cutco. The most important thing is how many more nice people do you have that we can show it to. So by the way, in my training, when you watch my training, those are the kind of things you want to look for to add to your manual, guys. When you listen, if you're watching Drew's training seminar, if you're watching my training seminar, what you're looking for is not to say everything, so but like those little phrases, cool? That's what you're looking for that are not in there. Like, because we just randomly will say extra things, you know? Second row here, fill it in, Ricky. So it's those extra phrases, all right? So right there, when you're talking, like, hey, it's hard to ask for recommendations in a group. And by the way, we know you're going to sell a lot of Cutco. The most important thing is how many more nice people do you have to show it to? Cool. And so when you're doing a group, you're not able to connect properly with your customer. You're not able to really share, like, build that relationship and sit there and like go through their whole phone because they're talking to each other, and like it ruins how much you can connect with that person. And so that's why we like to do one household at a time. Cool. Number 2, go ahead, Serena. Loud.
Review base pay versus commission on weekly cycle. Use 10 kilos times base pay equals 150 days. Show what happens with higher and lower commission.
So I don't have a dry erase marker, which stinks, but I wanted to show you guys this. But I just go, hey, 10 appointments, you know, times, and for us it's 16, you know, and so you're like, okay, 160. Let's say half of them bought, okay? 5, let's say we used a $300 average order, cool, which is lower than national. That's 1,500. So 1,500, how does it work? From 0 to 1,000, you earn, yes. Thank you, sir. So from 0 to 1,000, all right, you earn, so we told them we did, okay, 10 appointments, we know times 16, you were guaranteed 160, cool? Let's just say half bought, less than average. All right, half bought is 5 sales. Let's use a low ball number. All right, nationals over, you know, 330, so we'll just use 300. That's 1,500 that you sold. Cool. So how does this work? Off your first 1,000, you make how much? 10%. So you made $100. Cool. Now from 1 to 3,000, you're earning what? 15%, right? So off that 500. You made 15%, which is $75. So you earned 175. So you rather have 160 or 175? Yeah, you know, so you guys see that? So even with lower averages, the commissions was still higher, okay? But let's say you didn't. Maybe let's just say you just hit your first promotion. Cool, and that's it. So you made $100. So what would happen is, and you guys see the example on page, and in their manual, there's an example of this. Like you'll have $100 commissions from sales. Then you're gonna get $60 base pay added to your check. And so your total check will be 160, cool? But when you look at it, it'll say $100 from sales, $60 from base pay. Everyone cool? All right. So if it was ever lower, we just add it on. All right. But as you guys saw, we guarantee that base pay because we know over half buy with over a $300 average order in Houston in our division, the average order is over $400. Cool. So just so you guys can see how that works. So you're just, again, instilling confidence, but letting them know, you know, you have that to fall back on. Number 3, go ahead and read out loud, Rolando.
Review commissions chart from training manual. 1K first promotion, 1,000. $250 average.
Yeah. So here you're showing me, like, so again, guys, even to help you guys, you know, our goal is to help you hit your first promotion when? This weekend. Cool. And so $1,000, if you want to guarantee this thing, $1,000 divided by 4 sales, okay, by $250. We're going to go even lower on the average is 4 sales. 4 sales takes 6 to 7 demos. Cool. So just to be safe, 7 demos for every $1,000 you want to sell. So if you want to sell $2,000 this weekend, you want to be focused on 14 demos, right? If you want to, like, whatever it is that you want to do to be safe, use 7 demos. Our averages are better, but if you work these numbers, you'll always come out on top. Cool. You'll sell more, you'll make more, and you'll like me more. Sounds good? All right. Do you guys see how I was just reading from there? And so I use my manual when I'm running training. I have things highlighted on it. And so you can just teach and speak through there as you have it. So, but this weekend, and you guys can follow along, 7 demos for every, so this weekend, 7 demos minimum completed, all right? Some people were scheduled last minute, some people are flaky. So you wanna book 8 to 10 appointments to guarantee your first promotion. All right. And by the way, there's people that did a lot more. Adriano, he did 11 appointments his first weekend. He ended up having 8 sales, and he sold over $6,000. All right. Katrina Cisenia, she did 11 demos, had 7 sales, and she sold over 6,000. Her first paycheck was $1,011. You know, we had Jessica Perez. You know, she actually only got to do 7 demos, but guys, she had her best 5 lined up. Got those knocked out. She had her first promotion her first night, her second promotion her next day. Almost hit 6,000. She was just shy, but her first paycheck was $911.22. Would anyone be excited about that? Yeah. All right. So sometimes you'll have even higher numbers off that, but if you want to ensure that first promo, you know, have 8 to 10 demos booked up for your first weekend, and that's going to set you up for success. Sounds good? Then. Here it says brief review, and just showing them, I'm like, you know, I give examples, like I teach that through examples. I'm like, they got to hear, you know, Effie, she hit 2 promotions. She was close to 500. She made an $800 paycheck. Oh my gosh, Cameron sold over $3,000, made a $400 paycheck. So it can get really exciting. All right. But the ultimate goal is what? Dirty 30. All right. Getting you guys up on that wall. And so I have a wall that says Dirty 30. That means that you accumulated $2,000 in earnings while working with us. Thomas, by the way, did that his first week on the job. That's pretty cool. You know, Gray did that his first week on the job. Can I guarantee you guys that? No, but if you're down to grind, I'll show you how to get it done too. All right. But again, we want to help you guys earn your first $2,000. We want to help you guys be at 30% commissions, because then you can work part-time and make a full-time income. And guys, you give examples of that gets them excited. I'm like, think about this. All right, Cass. Gray hit hit Dirty 30 his first week, okay? So he can now work one day, and let's say he just does 6 appointments, right, before he goes to dinner with his family. So he knocks out 6 appointments during the day. Gray is going to sell on at least 4, if not more, okay? His average order is over 80%. So this is with that 66%, okay? So he has 4 sales, cool? And then let's use $400, the GCK average, which, by the way, his average is higher than that, all right? But check this out. He's at 30% now. So he just earned a $480 paycheck for working Saturday during the day before going to dinner with his family. Is that pretty cool? All right. So these guys can work part-time and make a full-time income. And Gray, by the way, will probably have 5 sales, over $500 average order, which is $2,500. And he actually earns over 40%. Okay. So when he does this, he's earning over $750, many times over $1,000 is what he's earning off of that. Pretty cool. All right. So it pays, and anyone will tell you it's so worth working hard in the beginning to knock out as many promotions. So then you can work part-time and you can make a full-time income. So that's something that's really cool. All right. So you're talking about part-time work, earn full-time income, students. So you guys see under D, part 3, students, 7 demos on the weekend around school. I just taught that, but how did I teach it? By using Gray as the example. So anytime that you can share a lesson through a story, it's always remembered more. Does that make sense? All right, because they remember that story about Gray, like I want to do what Gray did, versus you just teaching about, hey, if you do, 7 demos, you can earn this much money. It just becomes more alive, when you use those stories. So you guys can make a little note next to that one, use whoever who's at 30% and show how they can work on the weekend one day and what they earn, okay? So 60 demos, all right? And so it shows there. If it's in your fast start, you're going for it. If you want to insure it, 50 demos, it takes less in your fast start because there's that momentum, right? You're starting with your best customers and you're doing more demos quicker, so there's just a momentum that comes with that. $20,000, $5,000 income, and showing what that is as well. By the way, you guys can all make a star, like Babaran from my office. He has sold $20,000. Caden did $23,000. These guys made $5,000 their first week on the job. That's pretty hot. All right. So it all starts with your best 5. All right. So go ahead, Joseph. Can you read best 5 first weekend? So we're right after the pay review on page 19, bottom of page 19.
If you book 10, even if you reschedule, you'll complete at least 7.
Go to best 5 under.
Oh, best 5.
Next section. Oh, right above it. Sorry.
Right. When you show your best prospects first, you can have way bigger results. So like, who would you use for an example?
So Joey Dela Cruz, one of my girls, saw our best 5. First demo, sold a complete set. All right. Second demo, sold a signature set. She already hit her first 2 promotions off 2 demos. Cameron, 2 promotions, 2 demos, signature set, because he had his best 5 lined up first, you know? So like that you can give. So who here sold, who here knows somebody who sold off their first 2 or 3 demos, hit 2 promotions? Does anybody know anybody else? All right. Who do you know? Say it.
Brandon Ledney.
What did he do?
He sold an ultimate and signature.
Boom, there you go. Brandon Letney. You guys can use him as an example. Ricky. Dawson, what did he sell?
No idea. Probably a couple signatures.
All right, who else has specifics? Michael Maves, what did he sell?
Signature.
Cool. Signature homemaker, added some other stuff. You know, he's already there at his second promotion. Who else? Who else had any specifics?
Didn't Haley?
Yeah, Haley off her first 5 demos had sold $6,000. So they already had a Cutco and they were just like adding stuff to their collection. And by the way, you can give this example too with Haley. She was scared. She didn't think she was going to sell because everyone she knew already had Cutco. Her family had had him over 20-something years. Like she had grown up with Cutco, and she's like, they're not going to buy, or I don't think they'll buy a lot because they already have Cutco. By the way, off her first 6 demos, and off her first 5 sales for sure, she had sold over $6,000. So her first one bought like $1,700. The one bought like they were just adding to their collection and adding gifts. So those are great examples. Good. All right, keep going.
Some of you have smaller customers. Some of you have smaller lists. No matter what, if you show your best 5, you'll get your first promotion. And who will your best 5 recommend you to? Their best 5. And then you have 25 baller customers by Monday.
Cool. And again, guys, don't forget, it's all about delivery with this, right? So I'm like, so some of you guys have like baller customers, some of you guys have a smaller list, all right? It's all about your best 5. Because when you see your best 5, who are they going to give you? Their best 5. And guys, now, all right, and again, I was showing numbers, but I'm like, so if you see your best people, all right, and they give you 5 of their best, now you have 25 baller people, all right? And by the way, they give you their 5, that's 125. They give you their 5, and so you're showing them. You're like, now you're at 625. Do you guys see how this rolls? So whether you start off with 1, 2, 3, or 5 people, or you start off with 20, it always grows, all right? But for those of you who have more, like take advantage of that. But regardless, within 2 weeks, anyone here who doesn't have a lot of MAC customers, within 2 weeks, you can have the business that you want. Just build it right, all right? I would write that down. That's another plug of the, I want them to stick to their people, right? Because some people just want to see anybody. And so I'm plugging that because we're going to go into schedule and stuff here in a couple minutes, right? So I want to make sure they understand, like, just if that's all you do is see your best 5, you're going to build a rocking business. You know, be patient. I don't want somebody who doesn't have a ton of MACs to just be seeing whoever, all right? So then we have first weekend assignment, all right? JD, go ahead and read there.
So if you book 10, even with a few rescheduled, you'll complete at least 7 and hit your first promotion. That's standard and normal. Our goal is for everyone to have a shot at their first promotion this weekend. If you don't think you have time for 7 appointments, see me after training. We'll make a plan that can work for you.
All right, Ralph, twice as many demos first weekend as fast start.
Do you want to know the trick to becoming an incredible rep and building a ton of momentum? We focus on the philosophy of twice as many demos for your first weekend and fast start.
All right, by the way, open your eyes. Some of you guys, you know, you're not as like outgoing and animated. That's fine, but just open your eyes and be like, hey, do you guys want to know the secret? All right, so Kamani, great. I don't know. I'm excited to go see Kamani. I just want to like pop in and see him in training this summer. All right, like you guys will see him smile more than you ever have. I'll be like, let me tell you the secret to hitting your promotion. So yeah, so you're like, hey, do you guys want to know? Like, they need to be like, I want to know. Like, they need to want to listen. So do you guys want to know the trick to becoming an incredible rep and building a ton of momentum? And they're like, yeah, and it's like, hey, we focus on the philosophy, twice as many demos your first weekend and fast start. All right. So do twice as many demos that you're planning on doing. So if you're planning on doing 10, you want to do 20, you want to, and so you're explaining why. All right. Thomas, go ahead and read why. All right, cool. Struggle bus. Who can read? David, go.
Doing more demos in your first weekend and fast start has a ton of benefits. You learn the demo more quicker, and master the fundamentals. You build a ton of referrals and big base quickly. You build sales confidence and belief in yourself, which is very motivating. You hit your promotions that generally play.
You should all be following along.
High commissions. You'll build your capacity, and it'll be easier to hit your goals later. And you get some pretty awesome paychecks. This weekend counts as your first week, even though it's a short week. Let's still hit your goal. If you're planning on doing 5 demos a week, normally do 10 this weekend and 10 next week. If you plan on doing 10 demos weekly, do 20 this weekend and 20 next week.
And by the way, when you guys are doing this, your nonverbals are so important, okay? So you're like, oh, do this here, and they're like, oh, okay. Like you're excited. You're like, hey, you're like giving them the secret to like kick ass. You're like, if you're gonna do this, do this. If you're gonna do this, I'll do this. And they're like, oh, okay, Mason. So like that's how you're teaching this. That's how you're going through. You're not like, if you're gonna do this, do twice as many. If you're gonna do it, they're like, well, screw you, I don't want to, versus like, oh yeah, I want to kick butt, and it's like, hey, let me tell you the secret to kicking butt. Be like, we're gonna do this, do that. So you're like, hey, why? You learn things quicker, you build a ton of referrals, you build sales confidence, the promotions quicker, you expand your capacity, and you get some pretty freaking awesome paychecks, so that's pretty awesome. And so this weekend counts as your first week, even though it's shorter. All right, so if you're gonna do 5 demos, that was your plan, I would do 10. If you're gonna do 10, I would do 20. And you guys will see that. Will it be tiring? Will it be exhausting? Like, yes, you're going to be mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. But you're expanding your capacity, all right? You're expanding your comfort zone. And that's going to make things in the future a piece of cake, all right? So think about how easy the job will be later when you can do half as much work and earn twice as much. Pretty cool, right? All right, and then we're going to go into training list. Everyone good? All right, so we go into training list. We're like, all right, so we're going to show. So Ricky, go ahead and can you take over on there?
Training list?
Yeah.
We're going to work on our list. That part? Okay. We're going to work on our list of who you can show. Take out a list you worked on at home. So we're going to go through categories, and you're going to write down everyone you could do a presentation for. Transfer the names you wrote down into your manual as we go page 20, page 21. Don't have to be Macs, but star or circle anyone who is a Mac, because we'll know to show them.
Where are you?
At the top of that part.
Am I missing where it says to circle Max?
I'm probably reading old manual.
Okay.
Old training.
Yeah, I mean, I gave you guys the most updated, but yeah, so on page 20, when you guys are going through there, you're like, hey, take out the list of work. So by the way, this is where I sent you guys a separate, longer, and I bring it in a little bit different, okay? So this right here is gonna help you guys. This is really big. So we're actually replacing this first part, the first 2 sections, that in categories, okay? That in categories is being replaced by the separate thing I sent you guys, all right? Which is just like, I'm gonna read it out loud to you guys. I want you guys to follow along. And then once we finish that part, then we put a star, we start. So this is our foundation list. This is definitely not complete. Our goal is mission 100, and you're gonna take over there, cool? So the 2 pages, it's a long fat jogger, and I'm gonna go through is what we go to. What's up?
The one that you're talking about, is that the file where it's talking about how like a competition and like the
so this is, so it's called advanced names list, all right? So you guys can follow along if you have it, but I'm gonna go through some stuff. All right, so once we said, hey, do twice as many demos, and I'm like, we're gonna help you guys, and how cool is it to work half as much? and earn twice as much. Pretty cool, right? So we're gonna do a really important activity now. So now I'm on the other document, okay? By the way, when I'm in training, I literally have this pulled up to this day when I do this part. Just bring my computer in front of me. I mean, I know how to set it up, but when I'm reading the categories, I just read off of this, all right? But I'm going to read this all. So I'm like, so we're going to do a really important activity now. So everyone stretch out your fingers. I'm like, it's going to be a little writing activity. There's a place for it in your manuals. I'll tell you in just a second where it is, so don't flip anywhere. Don't start writing. Just put your pens down because I want to tell. It's going to be a contest too, all right? But anyone here excited about hitting promotions right away? Anyone here excited about that? Heck yeah. Well, as you know, the more people you see, the better you'll do. It's a numbers game, all right? So we're going to do a little brainstorming activity, all right? And I'm like, it's really more of a brain dump, all right, is what we're going to do. So you can add that next to it. It's like brain dump. I want you guys to pretend for a moment that you're opening a furniture store. Cool? Who would you invite to the grand opening of your brand new furniture store? Who would you invite? Mom? Who else? Grandma, who else? Aunts, who else? Brand new furniture store. Would you guys invite anybody else to a brand new furniture store grand opening? Huh? Okay. All right, yeah, everyone, I'm with you, all right? And I'd be putting out flyers everywhere. I'd be putting stuff on Facebook. I'd be putting balloons, you know, like, and letting people know there's a new furniture store in town. I want everyone to know that it's a new one, all right? Whether they bought or not, I want them to know about the furniture store, all right? Your sample kit is your furniture store, and that is open for business tomorrow, cool? Tomorrow at 6 p.m. So do you guys remember from the interview who the best prospects are, all right? And by the way, if you guys want, you can say this now and plug it. If not, we're going to talk about that right after. That goes right back into the manual. But I don't think it's bad to say it multiple times. I'm like, hey, do you guys remember the best people are? Yeah, 30 to 60, you know, and so what makes an appointment qualify? They're over 30, job. All right, cool. Now, most of you in here are 17 to 25 years of age. So most of your friends are also what? Probably in that bracket too, but who's not? Their parents, okay? So every time you think of your friend, you should put John's mom, Mrs. Gutierrez, you know, Mrs. Smith, like whoever it is. You should just write that down, all right? Now, all the people that you're connected to fall into 4 categories. How many categories? 4. First, people you know really, really well, all right? Your aunts, your parents, you know, just people that you're super close to, your best friend's parents or like your second parents. So, by the way, some of you guys have a big group of number 1, some of you guys don't, all right? And that's cool. Then we have group number 2. Who are group number 2? All right, these are acquaintances. You know of them, they know of you. Maybe you knew them well, but it's been a while, right? You don't talk to them regularly. But this is a group that I could call and say, oh, hey, this is Ronnie's friend Kat from volleyball club. And they're like, oh my gosh, how are you? You know, and like, it's just been a while, all right? So that's group 2. Group 3 is a similar association, okay? So maybe you've never met them, but they live in the same neighborhood. They go to the same school. They're part of the same club. And so you have that similar association with them. And gear 4, you don't know them at all, cool? And so those will be some of your friends that you've met at parties, that you've had group presentations with, but you've never met their family before. They would fall into this, okay? Also, like you go see your aunt this weekend, Serena, and she gives you some of her friends from work that you might have never met before. They would also fall into this, okay? So this group you don't know at all. So this weekend, though, who do you think we're going to start with? All right, gear 1 and your best 5, all right? But people that you know really well. And then we're going to go to an advanced training, teach you gear 2. And then on Thursday before the team meeting, we'll teach you gear 3. And by the way, by the end of the week, you know how to go through all the gears. But really the goal is take it one step at a time, all right? And by the way, that's not in here. I naturally say that. And so you just want to make sure that after you cover the 4 gears, it's like this weekend we're going to start with, what do you think? Yeah, gear 4. By the way, if you go from gear 1, if you go from 1 to 4, what happens? You stall out, all right? For anyone who doesn't know how to drive stick shift, if you stall out, you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna do the same thing here, all right? So we're gonna do our brainstorming exercise. Instead of thinking about the brainstorm, think of it more like a brain dump, like I said before. You're gonna literally just dump any human you've ever met, you've ever seen. So even if you haven't met them, and I see JD, that dog lady that walks by in the morning with her dog, you know, and she smiles, and you're like, but you never met her, you just can put dog lady, all right? So however you can describe them, you're gonna throw them on there, all right? And even if you're like, I never see that person for an appointment, like just jot them down. You never know, just jot them down because you want to get everybody on paper. And so letting them know, like, think about, sometimes you think of one person and it helps you think of other people, okay? So right now you're just you're just dumping every person onto this paper. So that's what you're walking them through. Like, maybe you'll say, oh, I have such a huge family, I have cousins, keep working on that. Basically, the next part, guys, as you're going through, is you're just prepping them on, like, not to, like, you might know a lot of people, you might not know a lot of people. So I tell them, like, hey, if I say, I'm gonna give you guys thought joggers, right? And if I say church and you don't go to church, don't be the person who's like, well, I don't go to church, and ruin it while other people are trying to think, all right? Because you're stealing their money. Maybe you should start going to church, all right? No, I'm just kidding, but whatever. I'm not kidding, you should. But anyway, just think to yourself, who do I know that goes to church? Who do I know that goes to church? All right. Something that, this is very old, by the way. I've been using this for a long time. Something I've added as a free set, and I make sure to talk about with them, is not closing their head off. All right. Because when you put your pen down or you go, I don't know anyone, you just shut your brain off. So I've been telling them, like, hey guys, don't shut your brains off during this part. I'm like, this is where you need to play full out, okay? If you had 100 names and numbers with you tomorrow, I was gonna give you, if I told you, hey, I'm gonna give you $2,000 cash tomorrow morning if you have 100 names and numbers, who here feels they could find a way to get 100 names and numbers? Raise your hand, all right? I'm giving you $2,000 cash. I'm like, yeah. By the way, what could you use? Your cell phone, mom's cell phone, dad's cell phone, school directories, church directories, neighborhood directories, all of that. All right, right now, we're not cheating. We're not using phones. It's all off your head. But I just want you guys to really work on this. Because, by the way, I'm not going to give you $2,000 cash tomorrow, but I can sure show you how to make that. All those guys made it their first week on the job, all right? And I can help you do the same thing. So really stay focused. And then, guys, it has the little paragraph in blue there. You're not going to call all these people for first weekend, all right? But and this is what I'm saying, what's nice is sometimes one pops up and then other ones are there. So give them the rules of, like, hey, you want to be confident, with what we want to build your confidence this weekend, right? This weekend's not about practice, it's about confidence. And that's something you've said throughout the training. So each line, and so you're giving them rules for writing down. When you guys write down names, each line is one household, cool? If your parents are divorced, they would be on 2 lines. If they're married, they would be on 1. If it's your cousin who lives at your aunt's house, you're not going to put him down even if he's over 30 because you already have your aunt down. It's 1 household, cool? So anyone who lives in that house, that's it. Each line is 1 household. So the rules, they have to be alive. They have to be over 30, cool? So that's what we're putting down here. It doesn't matter where they live, all right? And you guys can, keep reading through, but it's just prepping them on everything. So I'll clean this up. So I'm like, all right, so we're going to start, all right? And when I say go, I'm going to say ready, set, and then you just start writing. No numbers. Don't worry about that now. You can put nicknames. You can put whatever. All right. Pens in the air. Don't start. It's a contest. Pens in the air. So I do this. I'm like, all right, ready, set, go. And so they start writing. I give them, 5-7 seconds. I just watch. I see them write fast, and then I see some slow down. All right. And I just give it a second, and they're going with family. And I'm like, and then I just start talking. And this is the tempo. And I'm like, all right, so mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. Did you put all your aunts and uncles? What about cousins? Some people have cousins over 30 with a job. Maybe you have siblings. Whenever you have examples, give them. So Jarrell, he had 2 brothers over 30 who were married and own houses. So those were good. Anyone who married into the family, like a stepmom, dad, step uncle. If you're going to have a big family reunion, who would come to it? Remember to include your family from different states. And I'm going to read through this. And by the way, this is going to be a 20-minute process. Got it? I'm not going to do it now, but if you guys flip, it just keeps going through thought joggers. And then I say, hey, some of you guys have big families. You're still working on family. Go there. Some of you guys have small families. Go to the next section. Cool. Friends, parents. And so in their manual, right, it's split up by sections. So they just go to the next section down, which is our friends' parents. So think about all your friends from school, John's mom, Cynthia's mom, Miss Gutierrez, just write those people down, cool? And you keep going through here. So if you slowly read through this process, guys, your average person will have over 60 people written down, just so you know, when you guys do this. Really, when you're good, most of your people should be over 70. But when you're doing a good job with this, you should be averaging over 60 per name in the actual training. All right, then we go back. Once you finish this up, then we go back to your training manual. All right, so these are just thought joggers. It's a lot of them to help get a big group. All right, so And so it says on page 20, it says spend 3 to 5 minutes on each category. And so the thing I gave you just gives you a bunch of specifics, cool? So it helps them think of a lot of people. So there we go. Now we have our foundation list, all right? Nemo, you have yours pulled up?
Yeah.
Bottom page 20, go.
This is definitely not complete. The goal is mission 100. Our most successful reps shoot to have 100 names and numbers on their list as a minimum. Then this weekend, you'll continue to collect contacts and build your list.
Mm-hmm.
Our best prospects are called MAC customers. And for Mary, dual income, if they don't have dual income.
By the way, engage them. Let them answer this, cool? So make a note for yourself to engage them. How do we do this? All right, guys, so our first one's married. Why do you think married is better than single? So make a note of that. Say, why do you think married is better than single? All right, and they'll say, 2 people work. They'll say other things, you know, there's more cooking or whatever. And if they don't, you're just adding. Those are the 2 answers you definitely want, cool? They cook more and there's a dual income. So those are there. I'm like, they use it more. There's more use happening, all right? Then age 30 to 60. I'm like, why do you think this group is better than 20s? People say it, right? Oh, they're more established or they have a career or whatever. I'm like, yep, absolutely. And I say, why do you think it's better than like 70s or 80s? This is not in there. I would write this down. 70s or 80s. What do you think? I mean, does an 80-year-old need to make an investment into products that are guaranteed forever? Not really. All right. So are there exceptions to every rule? Yeah. Judge grandma by your birthday cards. Cool. Grandma gives you $5 for your birthday. I want to go see her this weekend. If grandma throws in a little, you know, $100 bill, $50 bill, then I'd probably go see her. She'll buy someone something. But judge her on that. All right. So that's why it says there, you know, use judgment. All right. Then C stands for casa or crib. They own their own home. All right. What's the difference between why owning versus renting? All right. When you own a home, and you guys can jot this down, that's when you make investments for your home. And again, Cutco's not a random purchase. This is not cheap stuff. It's an investment for your home. All right. So then we have the ask list. Let's go ahead. Cass, go ahead and read there. Ask Cassandra list. So that's your name. Cool. All right. Then there's the Ask Ricky list. All right. Go ahead.
Prospects, you have to ask them first. If they are a match, you can show them. You're good to go. If they aren't a match, you need to get approval. I'll steer you in the right direction. What's good for you is good for me.
Cool. I'm like, I want to help you guys succeed. Be like, trust me, I want you to maximize sales. I want you to do really well. Just ask us, because some people it's better for you to wait a little bit because you like know. And then, by the way, this is where you could put a little plug and you guys can make a no basketball analogy. But I'm just like, hey, your MAC customers are like layup shots. Cool. They're pretty easy shots. But the further you get away from the basket, the harder of a shot it is. Cool. I haven't showed you how to shoot free throws yet. I haven't showed you how to shoot 3-point shots yet. So you just want to ask, because this weekend we just want to get your layups down, all right? And so one of them, Rolando, might be like, I want to go see this person. I'm like, I know they could buy, but it's like a jump shot. You don't have that skill yet. I would wait till after Monday. You know, like some I'll tell you I'll wait, and then some will be like, oh, you got that one. It's like that's an easy, close jumper. So just make sure to ask so we can steer you so you don't waste good leads. All right. So that's how I say it. So again, it's what's in it for them. It's not you stopping them from working. It's like, hey, I don't want you to waste good leads. You know, like I want you to know how to shoot that shot before you shoot it. All right. So that's what you're guiding them on. Wait on non-max. Go ahead and read out loud. Jay.
So wait on your non-max. If you have a non-max customer or non-max customers you want to show, you can if they are qualified. But you want to wait until after you fast start. I don't want you to waste the opportunity to sell to them. If you show them this weekend, you have a very little chance to sell because you're not experienced enough yet. Do you think next week after 10, 15, 20 demos, that you'll be better at your demo?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So do you think that you'll more likely sell to those people later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I don't want you to waste the sales opportunity. So show only max this weekend. Deal? Yeah.
All right. And then you talk about chefs and hunters. All right. So this weekend only, we're showing MAC customers. All right. It's really out of their mind. So then you rank top 10. So it tells you rank top 10. You go through best five focus again, which I think someone's going to be speaking on that in the conference. You talk about it again. And first demo, because you want them to like place a bet. You're like, if we're going to Las Vegas and you have to place a bet, that's the Vegas customer. Who's the one that you're like, they have a family, they cook. Like I would be like blown away if they didn't buy a homemaker or higher. All right, who would you place that bet on? That's your number one. Cool. So you're having them rank them and put them on the bottom of page 21 in their manual because they can rank them there. All right. Then guys, we go into schedule. So here's the deal. After many years of doing this, I just do a pre-made schedule. Most of the time. If I don't, every time I don't, I want to shoot myself, okay? Because someone's like, wait, where do I put the $sign? And you're like, seriously? Like, I told you guys, put a $sign next to 7, then 2 hours later at 9. Like, they still find a way to screw it up. So I like doing the pre-printed ones, but you don't have to. It's just, for me, it makes me calmer than having to, like, see how dumb they are sometimes. I'm like, really? I'm like, I just said that. So they're just like not paying attention and they ask stupid or the same questions, or like, I'm just like, 2 hours apart. Do you know what 2 hours is? And they're still putting like every $sign next to every number or every hour. And I'm like, 2 hours. 1 + 2, 3 o'clock, not 2 o'clock. You know, like, so anyway, I just have it done. So for me, I talk about how they need to book more. Everyone has their first promotion, virtual demos. I talk about that. But then I say, when it says we're going to go through a maxed out schedule, top page 23, to show you what's possible if you had something going on, that's where I hand it to them. And I go, so this is a maxed out schedule to show you what's possible if you had nothing going on. That's how I present it. So I just give them a maxed out schedule. And then I'm going to say, hey, block off if you have school, block off if you have church, put in your personal stuff, block it off. All right, so put in your personal schedule. And then, so basically, if you guys put a star next to the last part there of like, now put in your events, other jobs, school schedule, family, how many $signs do you have available? Like, count up your $signs and put it at the top of the page, or they can, you know, right at the bottom of the day, whatever, so that we know their goal. All right. So we just go through that, and so they can see how many openings they have. And I'm like, some of you guys have a pretty open schedule this weekend, which is pretty exciting. Like, we're gonna help you guys hit some promos. All right. So let's show you guys how to contact these people, because we don't just call them up and be like, yo, grandma, I got these knives. Can I come through? You know, like, you could say that, but we're not gonna do that. All right. So I'm gonna show you guys. It's very laid back, very chill, and you're basically just letting them know, hey, abuela, I started this new job showing Kako as part of my training. I have to put on some initial appointments. I'm doing it for the training, so you don't have to get anything because I get paid just to do it. I literally just did it for you, by the way. But we're going to go. I'm going to give you some phone tips real quick, and then we're going to read through that. So this is our last stretch to help you guys get set up for a big weekend. Sounds good? All right. So everyone turn to page 23, and now we're going to go through phone tips with them. I'm not going to do that right now, but here's what happens. We're going to talk, and I want to make sure you guys look at that. And phone tips, super simple, super easy, and we'll go through that. We'll make sure to review that in our next prep, or actually, I'll just do a video on this because we're not going to have a chance to go through everything. You guys can watch it on the video. It's very easy, but you're just giving a couple comments, you know, like making sure the things you want to enforce. You need to talk to the mom, not your friend talk to the mom. You need to make sure it's a definite appointment. Things are written down. All right. You want to make sure you offer 2 times always. And so those are things you want to emphasize. Don't talk to men on the phone. Talk to the woman. Women, for the most part, enjoy talking on the phone more than men do. All right. Women have the address book. What did I say before to you guys? I know you're going to sell a lot of knives. Even if he's the cook, he wants to buy, like, I know you're going to sell. The most important thing is what? How many more nice people do you have to show it to? And even if he cooks a lot, guess who's making the decision on the color, what matches? Guess whose job that is? Her job. Women care more about what ends up inside of the house and make more of those decisions, okay? It's not like an opinion, it's a fact. Since you're little girls, what are they doing? Playing with dollhouses, decorating them. Like, they just care more about that. And so they'll ask the husband, what do you think? And he's like, oh, this. She's like, oh. And she'll get what she wants finally. And the husband's like, whatever. All right? If you haven't heard happy wife, happy life, something you want to talk to your parents about. So anyway. So you go through that part and just making sure, keep it simple, make it fun. You know, like when I say the one of like, oh, if they don't pick up, you know, don't leave a message. I'm like, some of you guys freak out. You're like, they're avoiding me. Like, they're like not answering. Maybe they're pooping. Like, maybe they're in the bathroom and they didn't want to pick up, you know, like give them a second, you know, like they'll call you back. But it makes them laugh, but it just like calms it down. It's like, maybe they're on the toilet, you know, like just give them a second. Anyway, then they get up to role play. You guys can make a note on this. This is something I learned from Dan Cassetta years ago that I forgot to be doing, and I brought it back, and it's just fun. So they start role playing, all right, and they're gonna role play like 3 times each. But after like their second time, all right, I'm like, all right, now everyone has to do this. We're gonna go around and we're gonna judge you guys on this, okay? But everyone has to do the phone approach again. You're gonna restart, but you have to do it in your best accent, okay? I don't care what accent you use. You want to go hard country, go hard country. You want to go British, go British. You want to be a Rasta man, be a Rasta man. I don't care what you do. Best accent that you can do, you got to do it, and we're gonna judge you. And they're all like laughing. I don't know accent, you know. But what happens is they've been sitting. They've been there in training all day. They're tired. They're hungry. Their butts hurt, right? And at this point, you'll notice when you say it, the energy just changes. They're laughing, you know, they're like trying to do an accent, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so bad at this. And I'm like, you got it, go. So it just makes it fun. And you want that change of atmosphere, that change of energy before they're about to make phone calls. Cool? Because what's next? Phone jam. All right, it's time to make calls, time to make money. So you want them having fun, laughing. And the whole point of that, guys, is that what? You can sound like yourself through the approach, just like you sounded like that country pumpkin, all right? Like whatever you're doing, you still are saying the same words, but you're sounding a different way. So you can beat you. It's made to be very conversational, all right? So when you call auntie, you call grandma, whoever, you have that there. So we dive into phones, and when they dive into, you know, like going through that, now you're going to dive into PCs with them. All right, so you'll teach them how to phone jam, and we'll walk through kicking off a phone jam. That'll be one of the things that we talk about, but making sure, you know, you guys put names on the board. Basically, whatever you want to happen at your team meeting, whatever you want to be normal for your phone jams, you got to teach it in training. Cool? So if you're in my training, before we hop on the phones, guess what we do? We do a huddle. I'm like, let me teach you guys what we do. Every time we're going to make calls, every time we're at a conference, we bring it in. We say, what time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. Who's in the house? Warriors. Who's in the house? Warriors. Warriors. Ow. And everyone does that. So we all come in. So everyone's going to come in, and we're going to do this. All right. And everybody comes in together, and we're like, what time is it? And it's like, and we go through it, and we're like, Warriors. Oh. And they're all like, cool. You know, and like they feel good. They're part of the team. Whatever you want to do. And you go through there. By the way, ding the bells, and we teach them, like, every time you book a demo, you ding it, you say Warriors, and everybody does that. I'm like, don't be too cool for school. So whatever you guys are going to do, whatever you're going to say, you know, you want to introduce it there. Cool? In training. Then they start making calls. As they start making calls, all right, and you can ask, like, hey, anyone who really wanted to go after $10,000, which means you're working at 7 a.m. every day for 1 week. I'll give you guys some extra tips here real quick, so you can grab them, and it's like, hey, we've got to focus hard. We're going to make a lot of calls tonight, and you're setting the expectation for what's going to happen. But you get them all on the phones, and now you start meeting with them. All right, when you're by yourself, just sit in the front desk and say, Armando, come here. Whoever's off their phone, Cass, come here. And look at, hey, how are you feeling? And you go through that PC with them. All right. In our office, we have a lot of help. And so Jay, Roman, Billy, they'll walk around and go through stuff. But when you're by yourself, you're not going to do that. Cool. When you're running training by yourself, you just say, hey, come here. Ricky, come over here. All right. And then you say, hey, how are you feeling? Oh, how many have you called so far? How many go, oh, great, nice job. Who's your best 5? All right. Who's your number? Oh, your number 1's your number 2 customer. Cool. Where's your number 1? I couldn't reach them. I'm like, all right, if we get it, we want them there. Because ideally, they want their number 1 right after training, their number 2 right after that. That's what we want in a perfect world, all right? So you've got to make sure, by the way, you don't understand how important it is. You're going to do it there during training. You're going to talk to them on the phone. The next day when they come back, they're still going to have the wrong people booked up. You're going to have to move crap around, all right? And you got to dive in. Just because you told them once does not mean they did it. Because people don't answer, then they book whoever. You've got to make sure those best 5 and letting them know, hey, if you reach that number 1 on Saturday morning that they hadn't reached, like, let's put her today, if she'll see you today, as one of your first 2 demos. Oh, but I have this one. I'm like, yeah, but it's not your number 1. So just move that one to later tonight or to tomorrow. It's your friends and family. Their first weekend, there's a little bit of movement that happens, but you want to make sure you see your best 5 first so we can really set up a strong foundation. All right. So that's what you guys are talking about there with that. So I've got to wrap up because they're starting over there. But here's what I want to tell you guys. So during this process, you guys want to make sure we're going through. There's going to be a lot of great teaching, a lot of stuff that we go through today. But I just wanted to finish walking through day 1 with you guys. But training's about, like, you got to transfer your energy, you know, your excitement. They've got to feel like that you're serving them, that you're helping them succeed. You know, what's in it for them? every time you're teaching something, going over what's in it for them. How is this going to benefit them? How is this going to make it easier for them? How is it going to be stronger for them? That's what we want to really go through. All right. So during this session, by the way, you guys do jumping jacks. You need to drink coffee. If you need to stand in the back of the room and take notes, stand. Don't be leaving all the time. There's a lot, like the DBMs, we put together a kick-ass agenda for you guys to really impact your business. The more engaged and the more present you are. I'm going to be grabbing some of you guys to get side conversations during it. So if I like tap you, or someone is like, go see Kat, I'm going to be meeting with you guys. There's a couple of people that I want to meet with while we're going through here, okay? But let's make sure we're the best examples, all right? Don't be all outside chatting. That's not learning anything, cool? Don't be, if your neighbor's falling asleep, hook them up with a little nudge, all right? And be like, but I want to make sure we're set up, all right? Those back home, we'll talk to you guys later. We miss